Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Hawes, and it's great to be back with another interview. I've actually got Matt Diggity from diggitymarketing.com back on the show. He is back for the third time. And I'll tell you what, the first two, and so I brought Matt for another one, and I do not think that this one will disappoint you at all. We dive into the question of SEO testing. There's a lot of noise in the SEO industry. You can listen to one expert. You can listen to another person and not know if they're an expert. You can try to listen to Google. And there's so many theories and conjecture that how do you know what SEO strategy is accurate and what's going to work on your site? Well, the answer is to test and to find out for yourself if changing out your alt text or the number of internal links or how you target specific keywords or other things are going to increase your rankings in Google. And so I brought Matt Diggity on the show. He's going to talk through a lot of the SEO tests that he's done, but then go beyond that and explain how you can set up your own SEO tests and some of the results that he's been able to see by doing this. And so the thing that you can trust, as he says, is your tests. And so it's a really interesting discussion, and we talk a lot about affiliate sites, how to grow affiliate sites, and then, of course, how to test what SEO strategies are going to work for you. Now, Matt Diggity is the creator of the Affiliate Lab, and that really has been a resource for all his SEO tests and the things that he's learned and been able to find conclusions on things that do work to rank sites in Google. And so he's included all of that in the Affiliate Lab. It's a training course that takes you from either building a site from scratch or taking your existing site and teaching you how to grow it with link building, content, and much more, really so that you can have the whole life cycle of a site. And he even has a group of six-figure website flippers that are there answering questions in a Facebook group if you choose to join that. And so if you want to get a discount on the Affiliate Lab, Matt was kind enough to offer a $200 discount on his course. You can go to nichepursuits.com/affiliate lab, and there you'll be able to access the course for that discount that I mentioned. Either way, I hope you enjoy this content. I really think that you will. Matt is one of the smartest guys in the SEO industry, so anytime you can listen to anything that he has to say, you should do that, and it's an absolute pleasure for me because he was actually able to take a look at my site, owntheyard.com, and offer a couple of suggestions that I'm going to implement, and if you listen to this interview, you might be able to implement the same things to your site. So with that, here's Matt. Enjoy the interview. Hey, Matt, welcome back. It is time number 3. You're on the show once again.
Always a pleasure. Glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it is super great to have you back. Like I said, this is the third time in just a little over a year, I think. You always have great things to share. I know that the last time that you were on, we talked a lot about expertise, authority, trust, and link building strategies, and got a lot of really great feedback. People loved the very specific strategies that you shared. And so I wanted to have you come back on and see if we could squeeze any more strategies out of you, any more SEO wisdom. And so that's why we're back. We're excited to have you.
Happy to help. Let's do this.
Yeah. So first of all, how's everything going? I know I'm trying to remember how long ago you had your first child. Family's growing though. How's everybody doing?
Everyone's doing great, man. So we got a daughter. She's 10 months old. You know, she's babbling. She's learning how to stand. It's super exciting. And like I was mentioning before we turned on the record, I'm down here in Koh Samui, Thailand, right on the beach at a nice little villa with the family. There's a bunch of SEOs here too. So there's like a new SEO community around here. And I'm just like on fire right now. I'm loving life right now.
That's good.
Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. You know, not a whole lot has changed. It's kind of interesting. We're in Washington State, which is we're not really open like a lot of the other states. So all my kids are still on Zoom doing school. They're not in person doing school or anything like that. Been almost a full year now. And so that's presented challenges, but we're in a groove now. It's just sort of one of those things. I got 4 kids at home, and luckily I've got a dedicated office space here in my basement that kids don't come down here and bother me too much. So, but yeah, everything's good. I'm actually getting back into my groove of getting out and running a little bit more every day and exercising and feeling good. So thank you.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's jump into some SEO. Since we did our last podcast recording, which was, we released it back in October, which is for listeners, whenever they're listening, it's a few months since then. And Google had a huge update, the December core update, and that impacted a lot of sites. It seemed like I've heard a lot of chatter, either good or bad, in the affiliate community. And I just thought I'd give you a chance to share any thoughts. We certainly don't know what causes everything, right? Like Google changes things, and we do our best to kind of understand why some sites increased, why some sites decreased. But what are your thoughts? Have you noticed anything as to what the changes were all about?
Yeah, so I'm still in theory mode, of course, and I see a lot of people go out there and they want to make a statement real quick about what happened with the update, and then there's 100 flaws in it, and they want to retract. And I don't want to be that guy. I want to make sure if I come out and say something about it, it's backed by a ton of data.
Totally.
And I get what you're saying. Like, as you were saying, it does seem there was a lot of shakeup in the affiliate community. And when you're asking people anecdotally, I find it very hard pressed to find anyone who said, I just across the board saw gains the whole way. I think that's pretty darn rare. A lot of the times, if someone just stayed flat, I consider that a win in the last update. If you're an affiliate site,
Yeah.
And I've seen so many gigantic sites just get absolutely bulldozed, especially the big ones like Gear Hungry, Best of Machinery, Improv. Like, these are all the ones doing 6 figures a month, and they just got smashed. So I went down the rabbit hole thinking, maybe Google is going after affiliate sites in some way. And I wouldn't say they're going after affiliate sites straight up, because we have winners all over the place. Like we have Wirecutter that's doing well. We have Healthline's an affiliate site too. So not all affiliate sites are getting attacked, but there must be some kind of characteristic about some affiliate sites that are allowing them to get hit. And potentially the angle I was looking at this with is, even in Google's terms of service, they are against doorway pages. So a doorway page is just a way to get a search to a landing page, and then as soon as possible to something else without providing any value in the middle. So I've been looking at various things that might show a footprint of being considered a doorway page. Maybe it's affiliate links above the fold, or maybe it's ads above the fold, or maybe it's a whole bunch of different things. And I've been running a correlation study behind the scenes with Surfer. Surfer's doing a big crawl over hundreds of thousands of affiliate websites, and we're seeing some patterns. I just don't want to commit to anything yet, as I said.
Right.
So that's the main angle I'm going down. Other things I've seen, and you can tell me if you've seen the same, like they seem to have turned up the volume on how important links are again, right? I don't know what niche, well, I do know what niche you're in, but depending on your niche, I'm seeing a lot of like mega authority sites and even press release sites, newspapers, medium.com ranking for affiliate keywords with no topical authority in there. They're just ranking because of their links. Do yourselves a favor and Google VIGRX space review. That's a boner pill. That's a Viagra pill review.
Okay.
And you're going to see some, what the hell are these guys doing their ranking right now? It's just because of their authority. And then, the last thing, this isn't my theory, but Eric Lantry's smart guy. He does a lot of like data correlation study type stuff. He's got a theory. I don't want to spoil his reveal or whatever, but he's looking at foreign backlinks, and he's seeing that there's a devaluation of link equity. But you'll have to talk to him to dig into that. Good guy to have on the show if you haven't already, man. He's really smart.
Yeah, so a lot of things are going on. It's hard to like pin down and say exactly what that is. When do you think that study that you're doing kind of jointly with Surfer SEO will be ready to be talked about?
I'm not sure, man. So we talk every day, and apparently this crawl is very difficult to do. So we're trying to just look at and see. can we take some shortcuts and not have as much data, or can we spend more money and get it done quicker? But it's a very difficult crawl, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, like with my site, Own the Yard, which most listeners are aware of, owntheyard.com. Like I've seen some keywords do worse than others. Like some of my very specific, like best XYZ product, right? Like those seem to be the ones that maybe are ranking lower. And a lot of my informational articles are doing great, increased, right? And so it just, at least what I'm seeing on that one site, it kind of just depends on the query itself. It wasn't really a site-wide thing, right? And so for what that is, right, that's one site. But there's a lot of data to crawl through to really figure out what's going on.
And to that point, right, it's like Google just said, the informational type of your site is great. We're not too sure about the affiliates part of it, but what is it? That's what I'm interested in figuring out. What is it about the affiliate part? Because tons of affiliate sites did go up, and we're finally starting to hone down to find out what were the characteristics of the sites that went up versus the sites that went down.
All right. Very cool. Well, if we have any of those findings by the time we hit publish on that, we'll maybe update the show notes and that sort of thing for listeners that they can check out. But let's sort of shift gears here, and not shifting too much, because it really is a similar topic in terms of trying to figure out what Google is changing, how to make sure that your site is performing the best as possible, and really testing out different theories. And that's kind of what I wanted to shift into now, is like, what are some SEO tests that can be performed? And I guess specifically, let's start out with like, what type of SEO testing have you done on some of your sites in the past?
Sure. So when I started SEO in like 2009 and started to get a little bit more adept in 2010, I remember having a website in the ergonomic chair niche, and I was trying to rank a page for yoga ball chairs. You know, like those yoga balls you sit on and like keeps good posture and stuff like that.
Yep.
And no matter what, this page just wouldn't rank. And I was following best practices at the time and looking to see, okay, I've only written the words yoga ball and chair on the page, or yoga ball chair on the page, like 4 times. There's no way I've overcooked it. And I got some advice from a guy at the time. You know, when you're a noob, like you need some kind of mentor. So I hit up some guy and was like, what the heck's the problem here? And it's like, well, yeah, you're not over optimized for yoga ball chair, but have you looked and seen how many times you've written the word yoga on the site? So I talked about the word yoga by itself like 1 billion times. Mm-hmm. So it just crossed my mind. Like, I'm an engineer by trade. I'm an electrical engineer. I got a master's degree. I did this kind of testing stuff all the time, single variable testing. Why don't I start applying it to my SEO? And so these are some of the first kind of simple tests that I would run. So like single word keyword density. Yeah, it matters. So like in my newbie brain at the time, I thought like Google only looks at things in keyword phrases, but yes, they look at single words as well too. And you can definitely overcook that. I started looking at simple stuff like, does alt tags, can you optimize that for keywords? And do they read that? And does that contribute to keyword density? The anchor text stuff, all these like kind of simple things were kind of figured out at the beginning of my career. And then I started moving on to like more interesting stuff and more experimental things like, internal anchor text, which you'd probably be pretty interested in. Like what's the optimal way to optimize internal anchor text to a given page? So we've experimented around with going 100% target anchor text, 80% target anchor text, 20% miscellaneous, 50-50, stuff like that. Spoiler alert, the answer is 100% target anchor text varied up, not exact match over and over and over and over again, but varied up 100% gets the best. And then 80% target anchor text, 20% miscellaneous gets a little bit worse, not that much worse. So we actually decided to go with 80-20 just because you don't risk any kind of over optimization, just because the result's about the same. And then so now I'm looking at stuff like it's much more complex. I feel like I got my basics down. I feel like I truly understand like the fundamentals of the algorithm, what isn't a ranking factor. So we're trying more complex stuff like combining like digital PR campaigns and making things viral, following it up with massive amounts of backlink campaigns and stuff like external outbound link ratios and how that affects page rank. Just a whole bunch of different stuff, and it's part of my job as the CEO of the company to first formulate these tests, come up with them, and then I also run a testing group with some smart people, and we share and we combine our results together. So it's fun. This is the funnest part of SEO to me.
Yeah, it's super fascinating because there's well over 200 ranking factors that Google has. We know them generally. We don't know all of them necessarily individually, and so there's at least 200 different things technically that you could be testing out, right, individually. Like you mentioned, a lot of those. And so for people that maybe want to try and set up an SEO test, like how do you go about like setting up a test? And, some of the basics of how do you actually determine a winner, what's working, what isn't, so that you actually know at the end of the test, like you have reliable results.
Mm-hmm. So in my experience, there's two ways you want to go about it. If you're testing simple stuff like do alt tags contribute to keyword density? Is the alt tag a spot for keywords as a ranking factor, for example? Then I would recommend checking out Kyle Roof's stuff, or Clint Butler does this too. That they I forget the name of the group where they do a bunch of testing stuff and they share results. But like all the simple stuff, the kind of test you want to do is called gibberish word testing. So you take a single website, you make 5 different pages, all with just gibberish words. So blah, 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 just like Lorem Ipsum type stuff that doesn't make any sense. So when you have 5 identical pages, you could test to see whether alt tags are a ranking factor by inserting a particular word that you want to rank for in the alt tag. And hopefully that should go to number 1 if alt tags are a ranking factor. So that one's like really, really good. I can't think of a better way to test if you want to test simple stuff that's kind of just like a single ranking factor, not how a combination of things work together and stuff like that. Or anything related to conversion rate optimization or user metrics. It's terrible at that because there's no users going to these kind of gibberish pages, of course.
Right.
And then, the other method for testing for your more cutting edge stuff, or if you're trying to invent new techniques or you're doing more complex things, especially related to CRO, user metric stuff, is you want to use test groups and you want to make, I don't know what to call this, but I call it like large average testing. So you would make a control group of 50 URLs. 50 URLs, this is just a set of URLs where you're not going to do anything to it at all. And then you're going to take an experimental group, another 50 URLs or 50 websites or 50 whatever it is, where you're going to apply an external stimulus to. So maybe that's a new backlink technique. Or this recent test that we're running right now that we're waiting for the results for is we're reducing all the outbound internal links on a page from whatever they're at, 15 down to 1, and seeing if that increases rank because it's not leaking any page rank, stuff like that. So what you can do here is you apply the stimulus to the experimental group, and then you're looking at the average increase in ranking or decrease in ranking or increase in traffic, decrease in traffic on the experimental group versus the control group. Benefits of doing it the second way that I've described test is it's core algorithmic proof. So algorithm updates happen all the time, but it's going to happen to this entire set of everything. It's going to happen to all 100 URLs involved. So they either all move up or all move down or something like that. So you still be looking at the average. I can't tell you how many times I've had like 2 or 3 month ongoing SEO test going, and then a core algorithm update comes out and just completely ruins everything and I have to start over.
Right.
If you're interested in this kind of thing, I just found out about, I've seen this around on the streets and stuff, SEOtesting.com. The owner, Nick Swan, reached out to me. He's like, hey, Matt, I want you to check out my tool. And I was like, I've seen it around. I've heard good things. But we just started playing with it recently. I was just like, where has this been all my life? It's like all this stuff that I was doing manually and calculating averages, it just does all that automatically. It pulls it from GSE, and it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
That was kind of be my follow-up question is what tools do you use? Because that gets really cumbersome to be looking at 100 different sites, or even a lot less than that if you're looking at multiple factors and tracking all of that. And so I guess one way would be, like you said, Google Search Console and maybe trying spreadsheets or something. I don't know. But what other ways? You just mentioned SEO is SEOtesting.com.
Yeah.
And then, why don't you talk to that? Just any other tools or ways to sort of gather and read the data?
Well, up until SEOtesting.com, you would go in and you would calculate, okay, if I had 50 different URLs in the experimental group, I'm going to track individual keywords for these guys. And then I'm going to see what is the percent increase in ranking on each one of these pages. Then I calculate the average percent increase ranking in the experimental group versus the average versus control group. And it's just like I was doing this all by myself. And it doesn't take into consideration traffic. You can only look at like actual keyword rankings, and those can get upset by like keyword cannibalization, external signals, stuff like that. The SEO testing is just looking exactly and pulling the data from GSC, so it can just straight up see you're getting more impressions, you're getting more clicks, this works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And averages it all together, and it shows you trend lines and stuff like that, where the experimental group and the control group start to diverge. So you know things are going correct.
Very cool. So you would think that by now, like, shouldn't SEO experts, if you will, you know, people that have been in the industry for a long time, shouldn't we know all of these things, like that, you know, internal links help, that alt tags help, that, you know, link building helps, right? I guess where I'm going with that is there some place that either you have or a resource like that you've accumulated all these tests you've done or tests that other people have done, that if somebody, a listener, right, is too, it's over their head, right, honestly, to do all these tests themselves. Even probably for me, I'm not sure I'm going to go out and get 100 URLs and do all these tests. Like, can I just read all the data and like get the findings somewhere from all these tests you've done?
Sure. I mean, for me personally, that's why I created the Affiliate Lab. So Affiliate Lab is my course it's an SEO course. It's also an affiliate marketing course, and how I combine them together to build affiliate websites. And I made the Affiliate Lab as a training course for our own staff. So when I was onboarding people to join our affiliate agency, LeadSpring, we wanted to have a course where we can just plug them in and we didn't have to sit with them all the time and like individually train them. So everything that we've learned and everything that we consider to be canon, so to speak, on what works in SEO is in the Affiliate Lab. And that's where you would find my stuff.
Right.
I do completely understand your point on like, why isn't this stuff like common knowledge? I think like a lot of it is, and there's a lot of good testers out there, but there's so much noise in the industry. You know, there's a subset of the industry that's like, yeah, this is the real SEO knowledge. And then there's the Guessio, which is like, Guessio is 90% of the industry. So imagine you coming in as a newbie and how many different perspectives you would have on interlinking, right? Just that one subject.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, you have people that are genuinely trying to share what they're finding, and you know, hopefully I'm one of those. I blog my results of, you know, my public case study. You share in the Affiliate Lab what's working for you. But other people maybe they got lucky. They built one site, you know, in 6 months, it did really well. And then they put together a course and say, this is gospel and this is what works in SEO. And you don't know if you're finding that guy or you're finding the guy that's really done all the testing if you're brand new to the industry, like you're saying. So it's hard. There's a ton of noise out there, and Google isn't super forthcoming with, you know, their algorithm. Of course, you got John Mew that sort of shares some things, but you have to interpret what he's saying anyways. So yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. Even like Google patents, you could read the patents, but you have just because it's a patent doesn't mean they're using it, right? It's just a patent. This means here's a technique that exists. Doesn't mean this is actually implementing the algorithm today, right now, or even what portion of it is. Then we have, you know, like a lot of people just like to speculate, and you know, they might have a couple clients and stuff, and they publish a blog and they think, you know, what this one pattern they've seen on one client is the way it is, but that's not the case, right? You can only trust test results, to be honest. That's the only thing you can believe in SEO space. Yeah.
So what kind of results have you seen? You've done lots of testing over the years. You know, you've kind of found out certain things. What results have you seen? Like, what's maybe one of the better results, if you will, just as an example of something that you tested, you found out, hey, this works, and then you were able to apply it and see some results?
Man, okay, let's see, putting me on the spot. So, well, one of the most significant tests I did in 2020 was we were playing around with NLP, and
Mm.
NLP is natural language processing algorithm, and it's just the way that Google takes the words on the page and converts them into vectors, and how does it figure out what the content is about? And we realized that like to be able to decipher English text is a hard job. So we had this idea to, and we borrowed some ideas from some content we read somewhere else, that if you make life super easy for the crawler to figure out what you're talking about, they might reward you. So we started to insert very specific NLP friendly text into our pieces of content. So if the question was, what's the best temperature to brew beer, or the query, best temperature to brew beer, we'd echo the question back, give the answer, and then give any associated units that go with the answer. So we'd reply back, or we put in the content, the best temperature to brew beer is 103 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So we started doing this in all of our content, and pretty much every query has like some kind of like format like this. So if someone Googles best bocce ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would write, in our opinion, the best bocce ball is this, right? And this particular change and implementing this across the sites, not only did this result in an increase in rankings, but a huge adoption of featured snippets, because it's a nice, short, concise answer that there's no doubt in Google's mind that you answered it.
Yeah.
Whether or not you got it correctly, that's a different story, but you definitely answered it, and there's no doubt about that.
Right. That's what I was going to ask about, is the featured snippet, because it sounds like that's, sort of the perfect thing you're shooting for there is, what are they typing in? And if you're going to have a featured snippet, what's the 1 or 2 sentences you can include there that Google can use as the featured snippet? So if somebody were to try and kind of implement that, just a follow-up question, is there a specific place in the article that they need to include that? Do they need to use an H2 tag to sort of ask the question and then answer it? Any additional like tips, or is it just as long as they're including that very specific sort of query and then the answer somewhere?
You got my Achilles heel. So because I'm so dependent on testing, I haven't tested that, so
Okay.
I don't have a comment on it. I don't know the optimal place.
Just as long as it's in there somewhere. Yeah.
We just drop it in the content somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
But the ideal place for it is like if it's best bocce ball, for example, best bocce ball set. I don't know what they come in, their sets or something. You would have that like on your first listing. So listing number 1, the Funplex 200. In our opinion, this is the best bocce ball set of 2021, something like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And so kind of talking about that, you mentioned bocce ball. That's something that I read about on owntheyard.com. And so I'll be honest, I haven't done a ton of testing. I have done a little bit, actually. I've done some A/B testing with like affiliate tables, right? Just using like a WordPress plugin to A/B test which one's getting higher click-through rates and that sort of thing. It's not really an SEO test though, right? It's more just a monetization test, right? To get more clicks on my affiliate links. So if you were to look at Own the Yard and sort of think about what's an SEO test that Spencer could be doing on that site, just for the benefit of me, of course, but also the listeners, right? If they've got a site and they're trying to figure out what do I test, like what's something you would look at and consider an SEO test to do?
Right. So I anticipated this because you told me this question might be coming.
Yes,
so
I did.
I did have to take a look at your site. So one thing that I might try doing, I don't remember exactly what color your CTAs are, but I think your website's blue.
Green or blue. Yeah. Usually they're usually green or blue.
Okay. So try swapping your CTA color to orange. It's complementary, but opposite from blue, and it's going to pop off the page more.
Okay.
I suspect a little bit of an increase there, but a huge increase for you in terms of monetization. I shit you not. I told someone else about this, and they've implemented this, and they doubled their earnings. So look at your Amazon buttons or your call to action buttons. I believe they're like check price on Amazon, and just remove the word Amazon. So just say check price, check latest price, or something like that, because when you tell people where it is, they'll take I know what Amazon is. I'll check that after work, Or, Amazon. Yeah. I was planning on browsing through there tomorrow anyway, so I'll check that out. But you don't get the cookie when they do that. But if you
Right.
say something like check current price, check latest price, that also implies that this price that it's at right now is not going to be there soon. So you need to click this to find out where to get it and how much it's going to be.
That's super
It's
interesting.
a couple seats. Yeah, let me know what happens.
I'm going to try that.
As far as I know, like there's no requirement that you have to use the word Amazon on the call to action buttons, but this is Amazon we're talking about, and that could be a complete lie. SEO wise, I did okay. So the only thing I saw and I look at your site was on your homepage. I see you have like at the bottom there's the latest post, and then it shows like 9 of them, and then you get into pagination mode, right? I think that I would consider like adding categories, like subcategories, onto your homepage, so we can reduce the amount of like link jumps to get to some of the pages. Because some of your oldest posts, the crawl depth might be super long to get from the homepage.
Yeah.
So maybe creating like games page, a swing sets page, or like a barbecue page, category page, and then link to those directly from the homepage might improve your link juice flow.
Right. And then on those pages, like make it big enough so it could include like all of the, category in the backyard games category, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You want a good example of this? Like go to like Matthew Woodward's website. Like he did a good job in his redesign of creating category pages, and then you can link build to those too, and it spreads it around pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll check out that site. Matthew Woodward does good stuff over there, obviously. But I'm going to try out that the check Amazon, and I'll look at my homepage, and I'll have to consider, other I would be really interested in seeing your internal linking sort of testing. I know you kind of gave the final results there, but any more data you have, that would be interesting, because I'm just wondering if I could implement that somehow in LinkWhisper, sort of, if nothing else in training, right? Like that the optimal internal anchor text is this or whatever. So
I feel I'm back to the drawing board on that one. So like in terms of anchor text, like I'm very sure that you want to go target and then varied as much as possible. But in terms of like quantity, right? Should we be very succinct and only link certain pages to each other that are very tight and clustered together? Or can we stretch relevance, right? And if you would have asked me on December 4th, 2020, what I thought, I'd be like, you want to interlink as much as possible, because this is me looking at mega sites. If you look at Wirecutter, if you look at Gear Hungry, if you look at all these guys, they're interlinking like crazy. So like their best espresso maker article is getting internal links from like what to do when you wake up in the morning. Like nothing that has to do with coffee, but just articles on like also the best razor. So and they'd have a sentence that's like, so after you make a shave, you're probably going to get a glass of coffee or something, like cup of coffee, and just finding a way to make it work. So that I was just seeing in action, like maybe these sites are just rocking it so hard because they have so much topical relevance. These have thousands of pages on the site and they're just all linking to each other. But these sites tanked the hardest in this last update. They're all dead, man. They're all dead. So I'm back to the drawing board. I'll let you know what I figure out.
Yeah. And it's so hard to know if like the internal linking was a big part of the reason, or was it something totally different? Yeah, it's crazy. So always, I guess that's what keeps the industry interesting, right? Is that there's always changes, for good or bad. It gives us, heart attacks. Things are always changing, but it also gives us a lot of opportunity, I guess. If you're able to stay on top of the changes, you can make some moves that maybe slower movers aren't going to make to their sites. So we'll take the good with the bad, I guess.
It's fun.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. So I do want to talk a little bit more about the Affiliate Lab. You talked a little bit about why you created it. You're really kind of taking all these tests that you're doing. You've put it in sort of a training format originally for your team members so that they could, learn your best practices and that sort of thing. And now you sell that for others that can purchase that. I mean, really, who is the Affiliate Lab for? I mean, what's kind of the ideal person that should be looking at joining the Affiliate Lab?
We try to make it accessible to everybody. So it's one of my biggest life missions to help provide freedom for people. Like being an engineer, I was absolutely miserable in my desk 60 hours a week. So a big part of me feels like I get my personal value from helping people escape the rat race, right? So it's set up to be super beginner friendly. We have a complete bonus add-on to it called the Beginner's Lab, which takes you from the beginning, like how to install WordPress, how to register a domain name, all that stuff. That's, like really, really basic stuff. And then on the other hand, like I'll tell you straight up, I'd much more rather talk about super advanced stuff. So I'm a nerd's nerd, so like I want to talk about the nerdiest stuff possible. So that's I think that's why at least a huge chunk of the member base is some of the best SEOs. Like if you look in the Facebook group, these guys are killers. We have this group called inside the affiliate lab called the Six Figure Flipper Club, and we have like 44 members now of people that have flipped sites for over 6 and 7 figures in some spots.
Awesome. So what's everything that's included? I mean, it sounds like you've got the beginner lab. So even somebody that is looking to maybe just set up WordPress and get started, but maybe walk through some of the major either modules or just kind of, what is there like a core, what would you say the affiliate lab does best?
Well, we got the core content, right? And that gets into how to pick a niche from front to back, and how to do on-site SEO, which involves keyword research, building pages, connecting your site together, interlinking, site architecture. We get into backlinking. Our main track is how to do an outreach white hat based approach, but we do offer some insights into how to run a gray hat approach as well. And after that, so we get into like right now we're rolling out a huge module on scaling. So how to hire content editors, content writers, link builders, project managers. Like it's all about hiring, delegation, management. We've gone into email marketing, so a complete module on how to set up an email marketing funnel and make that profitable, even run paid ads and made that profitable for an affiliate site. Authority sites, of course, that's included as well. This doesn't apply just to niche sites, so all the way to authority sites. Man, so like it's gotten insane. When we first released the affiliate lab, it was 12 hours long. It's 40 now, because at the beginning I made a promise. Yeah, I made a promise that every single month, if anything happened with the algorithm or any of the concepts changed, I would go ahead and edit that part and figure out what's working, and it would be an evergreen course, right? And if there was nothing new with the algorithm, I'm just going to release a new module or something new and tack something on. So it's become this absolute beast, man. Like I mentioned, 40 hours. Like if you finish that in a month, I give you an award.
Yeah, that's a lot of content for sure. So when did you originally launch the affiliate lab? Just curious how old it is.
So the first incarnation of this was, I think, in 2017, 2018. It was called The Lab. And this was a collaboration between me, Mark Lockenbaugh, Brian Willey, and Dino Gomez. And I was covering affiliate, someone else's local, someone else's maps, and someone else's Facebook ads. And then since then, I've pulled, or the lab got end of life, and the affiliate lab lives on. I mean, I made a promise for this to be an evergreen course, so I'm keeping the promise.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're certainly doing that. I mean, if you're adding new modules, you're up to 40 hours. I mean, that's sounds like really sort of the latest, all of the strategies that you've implemented, growing your sites is there. And then there's the Facebook group, it sounds like, as well, that people get access to, where they can chat with other students or you and ask questions, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say the Facebook group is worth the price itself. So, I mean, I'd have to say that's the thing I have the most pride over, is like the group of people that are amassed in there. These guys are so good. So
yeah. Good. Yeah. Now, it's actually funny, and I didn't give you a heads up I was going to ask this, but I just was jogging on the treadmill before our interview here, getting some exercise in, watching YouTube, and believe it or not, one of your YouTube ads showed up for the affiliate lab. They targeted me pretty well. You got me. I don't remember what video I was watching, but so I see that you are running some YouTube ads for the affiliate lab. I'm just curious how it's going. Like how are not necessarily just the ads, but how's the marketing and how's the affiliate lab business itself doing?
Affiliate lab, let's see. So the YouTube ads and like the Google ad type stuff. This is like an experiment we kicked off in around November.
Okay.
Just brought in a new ad agency and just trying that out. It seems like it's cash flow positive. Seems like it's pretty good. I'd say in general, like just between us, and because you don't have a course, you don't have a paid course, you give all your information away for free.
Yeah.
Just stick to what you're doing, man. Just doing affiliate SEO makes so much more money than making a course about it. I tell you, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of responsibility taking care of so many people, but someone's got to do it, right?
Absolutely. I'm glad you're doing it. And like sharing, like genuinely sharing your knowledge. Like I'm glad somebody smart is doing it. Right. Like, and I agree. Like I went down that route for a little while. I did have a course, but at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what? I've got too many irons in the fire. I had software, all my sites, and then I was doing this course, and I was like, I just got to kill the course. And one by one, I've started to kill off a few other projects. I'm trying to hone down really so I can focus on what's working. But I agree. Like I just was on a call earlier today with one of my buddies, and he's going to be exiting his affiliate site for 7 figures. Like you can crush it. Like you can do really well. I mean, he's just a guy that's behind the scenes building an awesome site and doing all the things that we're talking about. It's nothing like secret or complicated. He's just super focused and doing well and, you know, doing everything right. And so absolutely, I agree that there's a lot of different ways to I guess, make money. But there are so many people building affiliate sites that are just ranking. They're cashing checks every month, and it's a great business.
Yeah, agreed. It's a crazy time to be alive, and I don't know if I don't want to date this podcast, but I think I just saw a typical affiliate website on Empire Flippers at a 49x multiple.
Whoa,
it's insane! It's just a typical affiliate site.
Wow. We're talking like 5 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, like Empire Flippers, like their go-to multiple was 20x. If you remember when they first got started, is like everything they just listed 20x. I mean, that's like 2.5 times what sites used to be selling for. So
yeah, it makes sense though. I mean, where else is people going to put their money? You know, like real estate prices are crazy, stock markets. I think it peaked yesterday, all-time high yesterday. That's just where else are people going to put their money?
Yeah. And it's really interesting because you get a lot more people that aren't in the industry, that they're working a corporate job and they're looking for an alternative way to invest their money, or they want to start a side business. And so what are they doing? They're either looking to start a site, or the ones that have a little bit of money, they're going to Empire Flippers or wherever. They're going to invest in a site. I mean, you can get a house rental, and after all fees, you know, maybe you're making a few $100s a month, maybe $200-300 right after your mortgage and everything. Or you can buy a site that costs the same and you're netting a couple thousand a month, right?
Right.
And so people are taking note of that. And so it's a really interesting time to be in the industry.
Right. And so many portfolios and so many investment vehicles are coming up. Aren't you involved in one?
I am part of Motion Invest,
right.
where we're essentially buying and selling smaller affiliate sites. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, like there's easy ways to get in the game. You don't even have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to learn any of this SEO stuff. If you just want to look at it as an investor too.
Yeah.
A lot of money in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe second to last question here. If somebody's just starting out, since we're talking about this, would you recommend that they start a site from scratch or buy an existing site?
Yeah, you hear me all the time. It's all over my YouTube channel, like the benefits of buying websites. But if you're a beginner, you want to build from scratch. You want to have complete ownership of everything and know everything that's happened to this website every step of the way. Because when something goes wrong, and something will always go wrong when Google's in the equation, you want to have complete intimate knowledge of everything that's happened to the website and what's been built on it, what's it built from, what's the technology behind it. So you can reverse engineer and figure out what can we do to get back on track. So definitely always build. And it's really hard to scale and outsource things if you never got your hands dirty on that topic or that particular task itself, you know.
Right.
So definitely build for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's the best way to jump in there, learn the ropes, learn what, how to build a site, how to operate a site. And then maybe once you get more experience, then you can purchase and add something to your portfolio or go from there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so the Affiliate Lab, you and I talked a little bit before we started recording that you'd be willing to give the Niche Pursuits listeners a little bit of a discount. Why don't you explain what that is?
Yeah, so Affiliate Lab's typically $9.97, and we're going to increase prices 2021 if I can ever get around to redoing all that stuff that is involved with that. So we're giving it to you $200 off. So that's 20% off, and just for Spencer's listeners.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. So listeners can go to, I'll have a link set up for you to get that discount. You can go to nichepursuits.com/affiliate lab. Just easy enough. And I'll have it in the show notes, of course, as well. So I appreciate that. Final question here. Just, are there any final thoughts that you want to leave the listeners here today? Any either final SEO tips that maybe we didn't cover, or just general business strategies or motivational thoughts that you might have? Anything like that?
Sure. Yeah. SEO wise, I would definitely say, I'll just reiterate what I said before. Definitely always test things before you implement, and anything you read, just assume it could be suspect, whether it might be outdated or inaccurate or just produced from Guessio. So always consider testing, or at least have someone in your company or in your inner circle that does testing that you can leverage and stuff like that. And then, at least business wise, I would say, always think about the end goal, right? When we get whittle around with SEO is so vast and so technical and so nerdy. You can easily get mixed up in exactly what I was talking about before. What's the optimal anchor text to ratios internally to send to a given page, right? But at the end of the day, the real question that matters is, what are the biggest moves I can make right now that'll make me more money? What's the biggest ROI? So always keep your eye on the end goal, and know that investing, and I can say this from experience as well, investing in an affiliate website or an affiliate business, the margins when you're at the top just completely pay for the whole journey on the way there. So don't be afraid to invest in content and backlinks, because it all comes back in even 1 month at the top. You just paid for the whole journey of the website. So you always got to think of the end goal.
Yeah, I love that. Great tips, kind of be able to delay that gratification a little bit, being able to invest along the way, and maybe waiting till the big payday at the end. I think that's great tips, great advice. Overall, Matt, thank you so much again for coming on the Niche Pursuits podcast, sharing your SEO testing tips, business strategies, and everything else. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's mine. Take care.
Thank you.